Hi everyone,
Hi!
my name is Jasbir
And I'm Zen.
and we're here for episode 2 of Leading Through the Middle.
Really excited to talk about this today, like my favorite topic.
Yeah, I think it's particularly important.
Yes.
Shall we get to it?
Yes. So the topic we're going to talk about today is, can work and life ever be balanced? Dum dum dum. What is your take on it? You because you have kids, your family. How do you think it can ever be balanced?
Yeah, I think many of our viewers as well, right? We're in the middle of our careers, we're in the middle of our personal lives with elder parents, young kids, partners to be contributing to. And for me, I think it has to be balanced. It absolutely has to be balanced. We have a duty to make it balanced to ourselves, to our families. It has to be balanced. No longer do we work or operate in a life where one person in the family brings home the bacon and the other takes care of the home affairs, right? Now, most of us live in dual income families. We both have to take care of the kids. We both have to take care of the elder aging parents and other matters of that sort. So we have to make it work. We have to have balance. And, it's unfortunate when we absolve responsibility of our lives and say, oh, sorry, I have to work and therefore I have no balance. I think we got to take ownership of our lives.
Okay. So why is it so difficult for some people?
Yeah, that's a good question, right? I think many people feel, or they've been conditioned to feel that, to succeed in a career, I have to work exceptionally hard. And if maybe it's our Asian hardworking ethos that values hard work, and we forget that there's other kinds of hard work as well, right? Other kinds of hard work that's outside the office, hard work that involves taking care of our own bodies and our health, hard work that involves taking care of our relationships, hard work that involves taking care of our families, hard work that involves taking care of our church or our communities. And we just need to remember that hard work, while it's a value of us Asians, it is applied to every part of our lives, and we don't just absolve responsibility for things where there's no bosses breathing down consequences on our back and just keep it here, right? So I think it happens because we often absolve responsibility of even thinking it's possible.
Yeah. If I track back to our career, right, and I know people who are listening might be struggling with work-life balance. Maybe they are in career or industries that are a little bit more demanding. And you and I, we started off with a little bit more traditional, I would say, professions.
Right.
I started out in law. I started out in auditing.
Right.
Do you feel like, because there are certain professions that you just will not have work-life balance?
I think there are some professions where more so than the others there are associations, right?
Yeah.
I think in audit or in law, it is common to say that, oh, you're leaving at 6 o'clock today. Oh, you're having a half day then. I've had that comment thrown at me before once at that point in time. But yeah, I think there are some associations there. But I think the main point here is our mindset.
Yeah.
Right? As an individual, the onus is on us to create the balance. The company's not going to create it for you because the company is run by entrepreneurs or leaders who want to make the most ROI from the resources that they have.
And that's an important mindset to adopt, to realize that the company has no loyalty to us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Simon Sinek had a really good point, right? Your work is not your family.
Yeah.
Families will never lay off family.
Yeah.
Right? So us feeling that I have this big, I think you asked the question, what keeps us from having balance, right? Well, some people have an inflated sense of ownership.
Yes.
They have a very inflated sense of ownership to say that if I am not doing this work, then the company will struggle or somebody else will struggle or this or that. But sometimes our inflated sense of ownership, well, one, it makes us do extra. Two, it also takes up space and other people are not being able to shine, right? And I think we need to calibrate that to realize that, yes, okay, I have ownership to this. I also have ownership to my health. I also have ownership to my family. And therefore, I need to portion my time in a balanced way so that things get effectively managed, right? And so this idea of, okay, I don't have a point of view. Why don't you tell me?
I think we talk about this. You talk about some caveats to achieve work-life balance. You talked about unique contribution. We took a while to find both our unique contributions in the world, so to speak. Right? Tell us a bit more about what does unique contribution mean?
Yeah. I think now to achieve that balance, right? I think we all need to know what our value is, right? If we don't know our personal value in the business, then people will exploit us for everything.
Yes, they will.
And saying no becomes harder.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't have any leverage
To say no, right?
Yeah, because people don't know your value or you haven't found your niche value. So you have nothing to negotiate with.
Yeah.
And people might not respect your wishes as much. Yeah.
So if you know your value, then you have a position to lean on to say, sorry, I can't do this extra piece of work right now. I can do it tomorrow or next week, because you know that you're appreciated. Let's take a step back, right? Why do we not have balance? Another reason we don't have balance, apart from the overinflated sense of ego, the other reason is that we feel like we need to show ourselves. We need to be contributing or be seen as contributing.
Otherwise, you might lose your job.
Right? We
you
feel
are not
like,
good enough.
Yeah. We need to constantly prove ourselves. But if you already know your strengths, if you already know your unique contribution vis-a-vis the rest of your team and what you're there for, then okay, the need to prove yourself becomes a bit less.
As you're talking about this, I recall a story of a situation I was in when I first joined consulting, right? And it's quite often where your senior client partners ask you to come back on a weekend.
Okay.
Because for a huddle, for a brainstorming session, because everybody else's calendar is packed from Monday to Friday. And I remember this instance whereby there were about 5 of us.
Okay.
I was the engagement manager, unfortunately, so I kind of feel obliged to be there. And then there was one European colleague.
Okay.
Right. So the senior client partner sent a text to say, hey, everybody, huddle on Saturday from 9 to 12. And this European colleague had 2 children as well.
Okay.
And I think Saturdays is a boundary for her. So the rest of us agents, we connected and we're like, hey, how are?
Yeah.
Need to go, no. Are you going, no? If you go, then I cannot say no. And then, so we were all in like deep discussion, and then none of us had the courage to say no lah. I was the engagement manager. I was responsible for the project. So I, of course, kind of had to rally everybody to say yes.
Right.
And then we were replying, okay, very reluctantly, right? And then our European colleague said, can't be there on Saturday. Let me know how I can catch up, full stop.
That's great.
There was no sorry. There was no explanation. After that, I was so intrigued by her decisiveness, because I didn't feel like she was being, she's not being impolite. She was being very firm about her boundary. And it so happened that she was senior consultant then. I think she had a good track record. Yeah. And I feel like by saying no, I feel like people actually respected her more.
So on the flip side, right, Sam?
Yeah.
Right, on the flip side, if her kid said, hey, mommy, it's Tuesday, can you come and have a play date with me at 2:00 at the playground?
Yeah.
What would she say to the kid? She'll say, sorry, I'm working, I can't be there.
Yes.
Let me know how I can play with you after.
Yes.
So in this sense, she has shown that, well, my time with my kid on Saturday and Sunday, that's my commitment to my kid and my family or my other commitments.
Yeah.
I'm gonna live it, and my commitment to work, I'm gonna live that.
Yes.
And you know, if it was the other way around, we wouldn't say, yeah, sure, come into the office, right?
I know. So saying no is such a skill, because we had a discussion about that and we said we almost have a form of coalition of sorts. If there is a certain senior client partner who always wants us to work on weekends, there is power in sort of saying no so that he knows everyone's boundaries.
Yeah, I think there is an element of recognizing your what you're in ownership for.
Yeah.
Right? If you are going to always say yes to every request that comes from work, then naturally there will be a consequence on the home front or in the health front.
Yeah.
And we see that playing out with a lot of, we talk about the mental health burden, we talk about, burnout, we talk about, kids getting into delinquencies when parents are working too much, right? And there's a consequence for everything, right? So that is why, what that colleague of yours did, I think is very reasonable. If you've got a commitment, then that's great. Now, I'm not saying that we never give in, right? And that's why there's 2 parents, right? There are some times where, okay, look, the situation is going to hit the fan.
Yeah.
I really need to step in and work on the weekend, and that's fine, right? Yeah. But if we make it the first option, just because our calendars were busy and we can't have the kickoff meeting,
yes,
right? And that clearly is not such an urgent priority. On the other hand, if there was a crisis and the client is about to fire us and we really need to find the time to save this business deal, and Saturday's the only, then fine, I think it makes sense that, okay, we talk to our partner and say, hey, look, can you handle it this weekend without me? I need to be all hands on deck. And there is that give and take. But I'm saying that's the backup position, not the default position.
And I want to caveat that, let's be real, you have to be good at what you do before you can have any leverage to say no with firmness, right? That allows other people to feel like, okay, you're still really competent.
Yeah.
Right.
So one, I mean, we said, yes, it's the mindset and whatnot of not having too much ownership or believing that balance is possible. But at the same time, we have to earn our balance.
Yes,
right?
earn your balance.
To earn the balance, it means doing the hard work to distinguish yourself, recognize what skills we have, what we bring to the table, and then honing that craft so that you are respected. Now, if you come in, and that's why I feel like for if I was first to join a business for the first time, I moved firms. I should expect that, okay, there's a bit less balance right now because I need to prove
maybe
myself.
First 2 years, you're kind of hustling, of establishing your reputation.
And this is the same advice I would give to our juniors, right? In the first few years of your career, build your skill sets, distinguish yourself, know what you're good at. Once you've earned that skill, then you can start to brand yourself as a go-to person in that domain, and then you can start to know your worth and push back on certain things, and know that even if you push back, people still value what you bring and will respect your boundary. And so that balance has to be earned as well. That's my take.
Yeah.
And so in a new firm, sure, 6 months, 1 year, okay, work a bit extra, that's fine. Make up for it in other ways on the home front. But then after that, get back to setting the clear boundaries, right?
So I know that we both didn't have work-life balance in our first jobs.
Right, yeah.
So tell me more about how you got to a place where I think both of us can say, would you say you have work-life balance now?
Now I think I do. Yeah.
And it's something like a balance scale that you really have to balance. So sometimes you tip off balance, right?
Yeah.
I remember getting on a call with you the other day. I was like, oh my gosh, I have been working weekends for 2 weeks. I can't do it anymore. And I remember you said, give yourself a reward at the end of 2 weeks, take 1 day off. It's just a constant balance.
Yeah.
It's not like an equilibrium at all times.
Yeah, we got to be flexible. I mean, the times your client was only free on the weekend and you had to travel for the Dubai project. And you can't say no to those things. Yeah. But then take time back.
Yes.
Right? And that's why I think our work life, the evolution of work-life flexibility, remote work creates a chance for us to be in integrity. Yeah. Yes, I've done all my KPIs, I've met my commitments, but then I have the flexibility to take care of myself as well.
Yeah. So what are some strategies? I can imagine our listeners doing like, hey, Jess and Zen, you have work-life balance now. What are some strategies that we can use to help us have work-life balance? I know the mindset is number one.
Yeah, I think the mindset is firstly the key, right? If you talk about the first strategy, I think it has to come before strategy is philosophy.
Philosophy,
right? If you look at business, there's always a philosophy, then there's strategy, then there's tactics, right? So the philosophy to me is one, work and life can go hand in hand, right? It can be balanced. Now, I get really a bit annoyed when people say, oh, it's not about work-life balance anymore, it's about work-life integration. And I think that's a cop-out, right? That's just a different way for the capitalist to say, you know what, I need you to work a bit more, and the entrepreneurs to say, work a bit more so I can exploit the labor and get more ROI. Because look, we are employees. If you are an entrepreneur, different story.
It's a transaction, everyone. It's a transaction. It's a buyer-seller transaction. Yeah. Let's be really real here. It's a transaction. You pay me, I give you services, but you do not have my time or head space, even head space.
Head space is the big one.
If Jess calls me at 7 p.m. And he says, hey, I want to have a meeting, if you want to talk about work, I would not entertain. Actually, I would usually say, this is not my working hours because I'm in the gym.
I have to tell them then this is a personal call, not a work call.
Yes, that is my boundary. So if you text me and say, hey, can I call you and talk about this? Or even if you just want to rant about work, that's my headspace. So I'm very protective of my headspace. That is a strategy that I have actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the point that we were making, right, it's possible to have work and life balance, right? That's the first philosophy. And with that philosophy, right, when we truly believe that balance is possible, then we make choices that align with that belief. Now, if we don't believe it's possible and then we get stuck in jobs that we feel we have no way out of. You said your career began in audit and mine was in law, and we've seen in those industries how many people just fail to make an alternative choice because they don't see that they can do something else. And they think, oh, well, all work is like that. All life is like that. We have to work very hard. We're Asian. We've got Asian values, right? And so they don't see that there's an alternative perspective or possibility.
Yes.
And so what's key is the philosophy that work and life can be balanced. And if we put that thought in our head, our brain is very clever. Our brain will go and look for examples to validate that thought. Because we always act in accordance to our beliefs, right?
May I share like a book that I've read like 5 years ago that really helped me?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
So this is a book and it's called Design Your Life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like Harvard Business School professors, and they run courses on this. It can be 1 day, 3 days, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I remember when I wanted to quit audit, I was only 8 months in. I talked to my dad, who is a baby boomer, who has been in HDB. For those of you listening abroad, it's a housing development board, a Singapore government, for 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got retrenched, but he got a package, right?
Okay.
And he couldn't fathom why I want to quit audit. He said, this is what you study.
Iron rice bowl.
Yes. And this is, your job is just a means to an end. You don't have to feel passionate about it.
Yeah.
And can you imagine if I listen to that and if my mindset philosophy is my job is supposed to be my iron rice bowl and I'm supposed to, is a means to an end, I'm not supposed to enjoy it, I would not be where I am today.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is that your philosophy was, well, my job is not just means to an end. My job takes up so much of my life, at least a third, right?
Yes.
That it has to mean something more than just...
It has to bring me joy.
Yeah, okay.
It has to bring me fulfillment and joy. And I think there's a concept called prototyping, just like design thinking. So you prototype. I think in the first 10 years, I changed about 6 different roles.
Right. To find that one, right?
Yes. And it's okay to take risks because you got to find your unique leverage, like you said.
Yeah. Where can you operate where your strengths are being put to shine? Right?
What is the best thing that you do that other people are not that great at, but gives you joy? Which for us is speaking to a crowd, public speaking, facilitating, right?
Sure.
Not a lot of people want to stand in front of a room, and we do that. So you get paid for that. People leverage on you for that because other people might not enjoy doing that.
Yeah, I hear you. Interestingly, you bring up this Design Your Life book, right? So when I didn't know what I wanted to do when I graduated undergrad, my sister said, "Why don't you be a lawyer?" And well, I think we come from a Sikh family, traditional Indian background. The idea of either being a lawyer, doctor, or engineer was the common path, right? And so I said, okay, sure, let's do it. I mean, it's an exciting prospect. But I was in that time, I was working part time, doing freelance gigs to afford some of the socials and textbooks and all that stuff. I was studying for the law degree, and then I was doing internships. And in this time, I started to see, I'm in this career. What does life look like 10 years more?
Yeah.
I mean, look at my bosses in these internships, right? And 1/3 of them were bald. Another, and they're not bosses, but there's people who are much more senior to me in the firm, right? Another bunch of them were unhealthy, overweight. Another bunch of them were divorced and struggling, and they all worked really hard. Like the partners had fancy, nice offices, but they didn't even look outside the window, right? They were just busy. The associates, the middle managers were in, this cubicles, and it just looked really sad, right? And for me, I felt, okay, that's not the life I want. And then the universe has its way, right?
Yeah.
And I think at that point in time, Stanford's Design Your Life course was getting quite big. There was an article making its rounds, and I happened to read the article, and the idea was just spend time, sit down, and design your life.
Yes.
And that to me was a big shock. Like, can I design my life?
Yeah.
Right? Oh, I thought...
Or is it up to somebody else, like the universe?
If I studied this degree, so I must be that profession, and that's my life. I mean, our parents basically had one job, right? Most of them.
Yeah, one job.
But actually then I realized, I can be in control.
Yes.
And if I can be in control, and I believe that work and life can be balanced, then I can find the career that allows me to do that.
Totally.
One where the culture of the business, protects people's autonomy and balance, as well as the business environment lets me bring my strengths to shine uniquely so that I can have a leverage.
Yeah, it will take time, of course. I think it will take at least 10 years to find your footing and things like that.
So I think we've identified 3 mindsets as like a
Yes.
philosophy, right?
Yeah.
Work and life can be balanced. 2, careers.
Organizations are not loyal to you. You don't have to have an outside sense of responsibility.
Careers can be a source of joy, and not just a means to an end.
Yes.
And lastly, we can design our own lives.
Exactly. I think we have to have another episode where we talk about the skill sets that, the strategies that we can use to...
Why can't we do it now?
Because he said 4 minutes.
Oh, producers have...
Yeah, producers
Really?
said 4 minutes.
So we can't talk about the strategies now.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess if you guys want to watch the strategies, I think there's a lot more strategies, right? So I guess this episode is what the philosophies
Mindsets,
or mindsets of work-life balance. Okay, any other mindsets that come to your mind?
I would say find what sparks joy for you outside of work.
Well, this is a Marie Kondo.
No. I mean, if you have no hobbies, some people are just work.
No, you're so right. Why do we say yes to a 7 p.m. meeting?
Yeah,
Why
because
do we
there's nothing on.
Because there's nothing on.
Yes, exactly.
Right, exactly. So if we live by our calendar and our calendar says 7 p.m. I'm doing math homework with my kid,
Yeah.
or 7 p.m. I'm meeting my personal trainer to go to the gym. I have something on.
Exactly.
And then there's that friction of rescheduling or disappointing. That will make us say no to the 7 p.m.
And you
request.
signal to other people that you have a life. You have a life. Yeah. And I think for our work, consulting is always so time consuming. Sometimes, I don't know about you, when Friday ends, your mind is still really packed with the events of the week. I always make sure to schedule something on Friday evening, whether it's out with my friends in the bar, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's painting.
Okay.
It just signals to your body, right, that, hey, it's a switch off. It's a switch off. And you have to design that for yourself.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you to switch off.
I guess we can unpack that in the strategies episode.
Yeah, let's do that. It has been a pleasure talking to you again. Feel free to ask us any questions. It'd be lovely to help you out with that, and then share your challenges or your strategies if you have any.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah, sure.
So this leading through the middle, it's a podcast for people like us, right? We're all in the middle of our careers. If you have topics that you're challenged by, issues of management, or just being a professional, or even balancing work and life, bring it up.
Yeah.
We'd love to talk about it in our upcoming episodes.
Yeah, see you soon. Take care.
My friends.
Bye.
Ciao.